Here we go. How to find your life purpose, connecting the dots, looking back, which is a Steve Jobs quote. He always said, you have no idea what you're going to do moving forwards, but looking back, it's so easy to connect the dots. And I've got the same in my own life now. And I don't know if you guys believe in fate. I don't know if I do. I've had a few moments where it looks as though fate's intervened or something, but I think it's more so when you want something so much and you're pushing towards it non-stop every day and you've got a blurry, like, do you guys understand this concept? You've got a blurry vision of what you want your life to be. You've got like a blurry vision of your future. Like you have this vision in your head of like, I just kind of want to be this and do this, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. That's so important because I think you have this linear direction of like, here's where I want to be, here's the vision I have for my life. You start taking that path, and then life does this to you and sends you all around the fucking houses upside down, spins you out, and then you end up in the end place at the exact goal that you wanted to do anyway. At the end, in 20 years' time, you look back and you go, wow, I'm exactly where I wanted to be when I was 21. But getting there is a completely different route to the one you thought you'd be able to take. That's what life does to you because I'm not a religious man, but a lot of people say this to me all the time. They're like, yeah, it's just God's plan. Like, God knows best. God doesn't make mistakes. And it's like, I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I don't know whether it's universal. I don't know whether it's, God. I don't know whether it's fate, higher power. I have no idea. But you end up getting to the exact goals that you wanted to get to, but you do it on a different route. And it's so strange. It's almost like you had to learn certain lessons or go through certain things so you didn't make these mistakes down the line when it mattered. It's really weird, and this presentation will show you this. So it's going to start bland, and then I'm going to open it up a lot more to almost show the expansiveness of like what's changed. So the vision of young Chris, what I wanted. This is the three things. People would ask me, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want a massive men's brand. I want loads of products, and I want to help men." Like, what does that even mean? Imagine going to an investor and being like, I've just got an idea, massive men's brand, loads of products, I want to help men. They'd be like, great, fantastic. Like, figured that out, then come back to me. So this was my vision. I had no idea what I was going to do. So it evolved from me just testing, non-stop testing, right? Products and content, supplements, clothing, body wash, books. I had one course that I did for $69. The audience is growing. I went and got a penthouse and a car, like trying to figure out who I was, what I wanted to do, the lifestyle stuff, how I was going to present myself to the world. But I realized it still wasn't quite scratching the itch. And I always saw this as like a means to an end. The money that was raised from this was going to be used for something bigger. But I didn't know what it was yet. That was the thing. Streaming platform. This was my first attempt at something massive. Some successes and some failures. I'd say the overall project was a failure because it was so expensive. But some successes in terms of like, I'm on set with high level camera guys, learning how to do interviews, learning how easy it is to actually get people to come and interview and certain locations that we have to book and how different the world could be. And some of the projects we did were unbelievable. And I learned how to edit. I learned how to storytell, which was a big thing. Um, and this is the most important thing for me. There was one eye-opening experience, and that was meeting Rob Lipset in Marbella and seeing that he bought his own villa abroad. So seeing that Rob had this villa in Marbella and was living this type of lifestyle, and I was like, I've just put the exact same money that he spent into a streaming platform. And I realized I was like, I can do this. I could do the same thing. I could have that house. I could have this sort of lifestyle. And then it started hitting me more. I was like, I can have loads of them. This is when those videos, Mr. International and stuff like that, started coming around. And I think I made Born on a Budget 2 after this and stuff. And I started to realize that having multiple houses around the world made way more sense than just having one. And then, as you can see, like you know my story now, guys. You can see the dots start to connect, and it'll all make sense as we get to the end. So, damn, this is recorded, isn't it? But this was a girl that I was dating at the time. But fuck it. I mean, she's not gonna care. So at the time, this is a weird time in my life. So my plan to become Dan Bilzerian, and it was a weird time in my life because I was boxing, and I'm leaning way too much there. But I will say he just got cooked, and he just got hit with a hell of a left hook. I shouldn't have lent that much. If you want a boxing lesson, my head should be there. I should have just missed the punch so that it's easier to get to him. Go from here to here, he's going to see it coming. But this guy had like a 12 pack and the best cardio ever. He was a fucking monster. I used to have to spar him like 3 times a week. But yeah, I was in some of the best shape of my life. I was working on this kind of boxing thing, training with my coach, dating this little Italian smoke show. This was my house, and I just had this love of hotels. She lived in London. I was just going down to West London every weekend, booking hotels. She'd stay with me here, luxury furniture kind of like set up. I would go down to London, we'd book hotels together, and I started to like live that 5-star lifestyle. And it was just like I started dressing well, worrying about skincare and stuff like that. And I started to just build up this picture of the other side of male life. That's where a lot of those videos started to come from as well. I think I made part two. The Great Male Filter was just before this. I just started to realize that there was another side of life, which connects, as I said in a minute, to the hotel lifestyle, the way that there's rich people traveling the world, the way that they're living. It all adds up. So this is part two of my plans to become Dan Bilzerian. This is where 1MI began. 1MI began with this house. I would sit there in Cheltenham staring at this picture for hours on end, law of attraction, trying to make something happen. I know it sounds weird, but I was like, if I can turn this into like a Michael Rubin type of house where I even visualized Dua Lipa performing. Believe that or not, guys, I visualized like I invited 400 people to the house where there's massive party, massive names. I had this list of like so I had Elle Brooke, Alicia, Mike Thurston, Rob Lipsett, like all the people that I already know. And then I was like, I bet I can get the Tates there and all sorts. And I was just like, we could have Dua Lipa perform it. It was crazy. Like it was so stupid. It's funny how quickly you evolve as a as a business person as you start pushing forward. But I was like, this house, it was 1.8 million pounds. And I started contacting the estate agent. His name was Jesse out in Marbella, and he was like, "Right, don't buy that one because it's too far out." But that was what got the ball rolling originally. Then I started researching. This is Alula in Saudi Arabia, and I was like, "They've built this from the desert. There was nothing here before, and they've built this whole thing from the desert." And if you haven't seen it before, search Alula in Saudi Arabia. It's probably one of the best hotels I've ever seen in my life. It's like 1,500 per night. And I was just researching stuff like this, interior design, exterior design, like working out how all this was done. And then I was going to go and buy this. I swear to God, I was probably 24 hours away from putting the 20 grand deposit down on that car. And a few things changed in my life. And I was like, oh, I'll do it next week. And that's when everything went crazy. But it was funny because I was like really exploring this lifestyle and trying to like push this over the line. Christmas happened. I came back from, it was New Year's Day, came back from my mum's, and I had my light bulb moment. So I was in my favorite place called Chapelet's Kitchen. I used to sit right there on a Saturday morning, and I used to watch the world go by when my dad was ill. And then when I lived in Cheltenham, I used to continue to do it because it just made me feel good. And I used to sit right there and people watch. And I used to get the cottage pie, some hummus bread, and a big cup of tea, like this big mug of tea. And I it used to be able to get 2 cups out of it, so I knew that was going to give me like, collectively I could sit there for like 2 hours. And I was like, right, 2 hours my time, I can switch off. It was the only time I got away from my dad being ill and stuff like that. And yeah, sorry, I just think it like I don't know if you guys saw my post, like it was just running through my mind there, but my mum just got diagnosed with breast cancer as well, so it's not great. But yeah, hopefully she's gonna be okay. I'm just thinking hopefully we don't go through the same shit again with mum, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But this was my light bulb moment where it was late at night. They had a new guy working there. His name was Charlie. And he just kept talking to me, talking to me, talking to me. And in the end, I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to engage with him. So he says to me that he inherited some money from his dad, I believe. And he was like, I went and bought this log cabin just outside of Cheltenham, probably like 30 minutes away. And he was like, the idea was to do Airbnb, breakfast, everything. He was like, I would cook all the food, I would look after everybody there. And he was like, people would pay like 500 quid for the experience and whatnot for the month, for the weekend, or like £1,000 for the week. And I was like, what happened? And he goes, COVID happened. And he was like, so I lost a shit ton of money on it and had to figure out the next strategy. And it was just like, boom, light bulb went off. And I was like, oh my God, why was I trying to become Dan Bilzerian? Why was I trying to buy this house in Marbella? Like, what I need to do is start a members club. I was like, it just makes so much fucking sense. So I grabbed all my shit from here, said bye, mate, ran out this door and sprinted down that road all the way back to my house. Literally sprinted because I didn't want the idea to go. And I sprinted down, sat in my house, sat on that sofa that you saw in the previous images, and just started writing notes and just went absolutely fucking crazy. Now, that led us to this place. It is not blurry in real life, I promise. Granada House, as you see the gym, um, which took 3 months of construction, hundreds of scam videos, which we had to get through, which I've realized now, whenever you do anything in life, it's going to come with pushback. And it's just so normal. It's so normal. It's probably the first time I experienced it on a big scale, but it's so normal. About 1,000 life lessons, massive success on this. It's been, I don't think anybody could say anything went wrong with Granada. It's just been, I think it's the sheer amount of effort that went into it, but it's just been perfection from day one. But the problem was I came back with nothing, wondering what happens next because I moved all my stuff out of my old apartment. So that old lifestyle that I had, I moved everything out. All my furniture is now in Granada, and I came back with nothing. And for the first like month, I just moved back in with my mum, and I was like, "What the fuck do I do from here?" I was like, "I don't really know what the plan is. I don't really know where I want to live." I was like, "I don't know what happens next, and I'm not sure what I want to do next." So it was pretty crazy, but it's like you've gone out of there and done something. It's put you at a certain level. You've learned all these lessons, and then you just think, what do I do from here? So, the second time I went out to Granada, I was there kind of without having to do the construction. So I had a lot more time to think. And I realized what this could be. I realized how big this brand could actually be. And that's when I was sat there with a member called Tebow, which you might have seen in the video that I released on YouTube. And he was the one doing the boxing. And I just said to him, do you know what? Attacker's advantage. Fuck it. Let's book Budapest as a test. Let's just book it. I was like, let's just see what happens. Let's just see what the guys want to do. Let's see if we can be an international company that can be in different areas. Let's see if this same model works in the cold. And as Andrew said, it was fucking -5, -6 degrees, but it works. Like us all hanging around, having a good time in the worst possible conditions, and we were laughing our bollocks off the whole time. And I was like, okay, we've got something here. This isn't just we go to a warm weather place and we go out and have a night out with the boys and a launch party. I was like, this can work anywhere. This could be a ski resort. This could be absolutely anywhere we want to go. We can make it work. So that led us to here, to Bali, which is the best house I've ever seen in my life, and probably the most handsome man in the world sat on that sofa. And it was the best trip yet. Um, is the best trip so far from 1MI, and I wish every single one of you could have experienced it. But what it did is it opened my eyes to how powerful this brand is. Like the fact we can do Budapest, Bali, Marrakesh, Granada, maybe Tulum next. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's like we are an international property company now. We could be anywhere. And the only difference between this being continuous and short term is owning the Bali house, owning a house in Granada, owning one in Tulum. Obviously, we own the one in Granada, but that's the only difference between that being continuous and people being able to experience it whenever they want. Like you guys right now could sign up and go fly out to Bali and live there for a month. Like that's wild. So it opened my eyes to how accessible the world is, minus the jet lag. So I've started shopping for properties in Bali already. And I found a 5 bedroom house, which is enormous, which will be 10, could even be 15 bedrooms with ease because the bedrooms are about as big as my house. They're fucking enormous. So that could be a 10, 15 bedroom mansion in Bali that we could own alongside Granada. Then I get back and I learn about this motherfucker who actually looks a lot like Pat. Anybody who's in 1MI, doesn't that look like Pat, the model?
Bro, I swore that was Pat when you
What
first
the
first
fuck?
showed
Yeah.
up.
What the fuck? I never realized. I'm gonna have to send that to him. Jesus, that's crazy. But yeah, I was jet lagged and doom scrolling. So I just sat here at home on that sofa. I actually fell asleep, and I fell asleep at 7 p.m. fully clothed with my shoes on, and woke up again at like 3 in the morning. It was all dark. I was like, where the fuck am I? I had no idea. I thought I was still on the plane. I was actually hallucinating on the plane. That's how bad it was. I thought I was snoring and some guy had turned around and was telling me to shut up. Like none of that was happening. I was just so tired. So yeah, I was jet lagged and doom scrolling, and I just come across this guy. Somebody starts talking about this Vlad guy and his story and everything. And I was like, wait, what the hell? This makes so much like sense to me. It just blends in so well. They called him the Russian James Bond, which is crazy because obviously I go on about James Bond so much. Billionaire, which is my aim. 62 years old, looks fantastic. He's dating a 30-year-old's former supermodel. Um, they've got two kids together as well. Yeah, they've got two kids together. That's basically the male advantage right there, but just an extended version. I was like, that's crazy. Bought his first property at 31, so did I, with a Granada house. Um, Worked in finance before that, so did I. He owns hotels around the world and a members club attached to those hotels. I was like, this is crazy. This is exactly my path. And then Utah, which is this place. And I was scrolling through some of the properties that they own. And you Americans will know that Utah is not exactly like the best place in the world to live, but this place is stunning. And I realized you can build anywhere. The world is Lego. So if I want to build something in the deserts of Saudi Arabia, like a Lula, or if I want to build something in America, out in the deserts, or and build something like this, or one in Bali, it's not necessarily about the location. It's where your head. It's the venue itself. It's the experience you have when you get there. That's what the hotel industry is. And a lot of things started to click for me when I saw this. Then I go on their website, and this is what I mean by full circle, connecting the dots when you look back. This is the Oman website, which he actually bought Oman, but he was already successful doing the same industry. He just bought them, but that's, for another story. But here, they got men's collection, accessories, skincare, fragrances, home stuff, wellness. These are all the same things that I've said I wanted to do, or I already do. Like wellness with the supplements, fragrances. I want to do the outlier fragrance. Skincare, I've wanted to do that for so long. Accessories, I mean, that would tie into stuff like watches or whatever you wanted to do, or shoot like maybe shoes. Men's collection with the fashion and stuff like that. Like it's that just blew my mind, right? So then I dug a little bit deeper and they have an internal members club attached to the hotel, ultra exclusive private members club, access to blah blah blah, fees of 200,000, annual dues of 15K. So they've got that attached. So then I realized 1M versus a man's similarities, members clubs, fragrances, supplements, clothing, owning properties around the world. It's the exact same company, just on a different scale. And it makes you realize like that journey to becoming a billionaire or having that vision that was on page one, where you're like, I just want a massive men's brand. I want to do this, I want to do that. You don't realize how you're going to get there until you start doing stuff. Now, it sounds so obvious, but here's what everyone else does in life. I've noticed I'm different to everybody else where they want results and then they do. They always say, no, we need money to come in and then we're going to do. We need a sign of results before we actually take the risk. I need a guarantee before I just go and fucking do shit. Always, I've just gone, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I've never been to Asia before. I'm just going to jump on a flight to Bali. I'm going to book Bali. Hopefully, it's real when I get there. And then off the back of that, you get so much feedback and you get so much that comes back towards you that you learn twice as quick. And that's why this business, One in My, isn't even a year old, but it's in this situation where we've got Granada worth 800,000 we own outright. Bali is 400K for a mega house, like 10, 15 bed. It's fucking ridiculous. I'm definitely going to buy one over the next like 2, 3 months. And then London, 1.3 million, which I think I'll buy in the winter because when everyone's like, Granada's raining, Bali's in rainy season, what can we do? I'll be like, right, I've got a London house, like, come over here. You can have the time of your life in London in the winter. But that would mean 2.5 million of property owned outright within 1.5 years of business, 500 active members generating 1.5 million per year, 4 million in company assets by year two. And as I always say to you guys, not a million miles away from Aman and Vlad Dorinin, as I just said, like the way he's a billionaire. Like I would actually, in theory, be miles ahead of Vlad. How crazy is that? You'd actually be ahead of him. But it just gives you purpose. Now, this is what I find crazy, is the ties to my life so far. I have a love of rooftop bars, as you know, hotels, Michelin star restaurants, melting pots and tier two cities, men's products, men's clothing, men's fragrances, which when I was in Marbella, there was a hotel, and every time I walked in, I was like, what is that smell? And they said, oh, it's our signature fragrance. Okay, when I was in Barcelona, I knew what it was. I was like, okay, that's your signature fragrance. And I went and bought one, brought it back to my house. This is the benefits of living like a king for a day or a weekend. This is why I've always lived this type of lifestyle because it exposes you to what's out there. And the point I'm making in this whole presentation for you guys is that by doing as much as possible, by grabbing a woman who was like 8 out of 10 and just being like, fuck it, do you want to go to Paris? Where are we going to go? I'm going to book a 5-star hotel. And people said to me, oh, it's silly. Why are you doing that? She's not going to respect you more. I was like, no, but I want to learn from the experience. I want to live like a king for a day. I went to Barcelona with a woman that I no longer see, and people are like, oh, that's wasted money. No, because I learned so much from being there. Being in these top level environments, I learned so much. All the rooftop bars I went to when I was dating that Italian girl I showed you, the amount of places we went to, the amount of hotels we stayed in. Every week it would be a different hotel, different Michelin star restaurant. I've probably gone to about 100 Michelin star restaurants in London alone. The amount of rooftop bars I've gone to is countless. Like the amount of products I've tried, clothing I've tried, the amount of experience that it gives you, and the whole Mr. International thing. This is all set up for the Vlad Dorinin kind of direction of being like this world-renowned hotelier with a members club and products that accentuate that. Having a rooftop bar on top of your hotel, a Michelin star restaurant attached to it, who knows if it's going to happen, but it's like you start to realize this is what everything's been building towards. Like every single element of my life now is being tied together. It's all connected. And the whole Mr. International thing, that's probably, and mark my words on this is like, that's a lifestyle, but that is probably a term that they will use for me when they write articles in the next 5, 10 years. They were saying Christopher Sturmey, also known as Mr. International. You watch. It's just life is weird. Life is so weird the way it goes full circle. Um, and that's a wrap, guys. I actually thought I had one more slide, so apologies. But that sums it up. Like this is where my mind is at right now. And I don't know what you guys think of this, but I just find it so crazy how like you'll just go into rooftop bars. You're just creating products. You're looking into like GQ and Condé Nast when you're young and you've just kind of got this passion for it and you don't know why. Then you meet a few people in your life, a few things happen, you start a members club. It all starts connecting together, and the next thing you know, you realize your whole life path is just laid out in front of you. Like I now see that as my direction. I now see that as that £4 million worth of assets that I'll be sat on, plus obviously what I've got available. You'd be talking 5 million, just over £5 million that I can put my hands on. At 33 years old, I'll be at that time. That's way further ahead than that guy who is now a billionaire. And that puts you in a position to easily start your own hotel chain. Easily. Like it would be nothing crazy. You wouldn't be able to get anything crazy going, but I could continue buying houses until they become complexes. You keep improving them. The Bali one becomes like Nirvana Club in Bali, which if you haven't been there, it's like a gym connected to kind of like a members club. They've got a pool out the back, a sauna, sun lounges. You can buy food. Everyone just hangs out there and works on their laptops. Seeing all of this, it puts the dots together. And from day one, when I was like, I want a massive men's brand, loads of products, and I just want it to beat GQ and be cool as shit to now giving you that full description of where I t intend it to be. And it's just from rolling the dice, having a go, and even the streaming platform. It's like, what was the benefit of that? Content, knowing how to produce content, knowing how to edit content, knowing how to storytell, figuring out how to do shorts and reels. Because I would sit with the camera guy for hours on end at my old house in Cheltenham, and me and him would structure it all. How to do audio, how to do voiceovers. Like that's what all that was about. That's exactly what all that was about, and showing you like the next level of business, like actually having to meet with people, organize things. The amount of things that I had to do with that business is crazy. And when you look back, you connect all the dots, you go, it makes sense to me now. It makes sense. And a lot of you in life might be not lost, because a lot of you are doing very well, but some of you might be like, where does this go? How far does this head? Keep doing stuff. Just keep doing stuff. Keep rolling the dice. Keep trying things. Try the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And if somebody says that isn't going to work, give it a go. Because what you do is you end up in the position that I'm in today with multiple successful businesses and a reputation of quality. It's a reputation of quality where people look at it now and they go, okay, this looks legit. This actually looks like something that could go to the next level. And do you know what else it gives you as well, guys? And I'll show you here. Timing. Timing in life is everything. And when everyone was shitting on me and everyone was saying, this isn't going to work, what Chris should do is just create a course. Bro, why didn't you just create a course? Why didn't you release those stream platform projects on YouTube for free? Why don't you just do what everyone else does and just do one digital product and like whatever? The reason is longevity, because I knew what was coming next, and this is backed up by Gary Vee.
Like people are
So
gonna
I'll start
charge.
this again.
There's gonna be businesses in 20 years where like people are gonna charge you to like take a walk with them, and you're gonna pay real fucking money for it. Literally, my favorite businesses to look at this nanosecond are experiential in real life businesses. As we continue to scale the mapping of humanity digitally, the opportunity for real life is actually going to become remarkably valuable.
So I don't know if you could hear it, but there was subtitles. But he was saying the benefit of like real life experiences is going to be what the future holds. And that's what I was banking on for 5 years.